Hey folks, so let's take a few minutes and take a look at these books. So we have a pre-order date and an actual launch date, which is kind of nice. We were assuming it was going to be around this time, but it's kind of nice to actually have the dates on the calendar. So June 3rd is going to be our pre-order date. Kind of wish it was a little bit earlier, but what can you do? And then of course our in-store release is going to be on June 17th. So for this video, I'm not really going to talk about the models. I want to talk about the books and really kind of focus on what's going to be required for anyone that's going to be going into match play and playing their various different armies in that respect. I'm happy and excited, but I'm also a little bit disappointed in how they're handling the rule books at launch. So we'll see how it goes. So really just to take a look at the box set, we're not going to talk about the models, we'll just talk about the rules. The models look pretty awesome, actually. They look really good. But when it comes to the box set, we're going to be getting a core rule pamphlet. We're going to be getting the actual core rule book, or actually the full rule book, it looks like. We're going to get a few little booklets in regards to the models that are going to be in the box set. So it looks like you want to play Primaris Marines, you want to play your Death Guard, you've got your books already there. If you want to just play with the core rules, it's going to be available in there. And then when you start getting more comfortable with the game, you can expand on that by jumping into the rulebook, which is going to have the advanced rules in it. When they say the core rules are going to be available as a download as a PDF, it's going to be this pamphlet. I'm very sure that that's what it's going to be. So anyone that was hoping that they'd be able to get away with playing competitively or in match play with just the downloadable content, it's very unlikely. You're going to have to get the actual rulebook itself to be able to do it. So it looks like it's just going to be this little core rule pamphlet that's probably going to be downloadable. And most likely with each unit, they're probably going to have a data sheet that's going to be downloadable as well. But we'll see how that goes. Right now, as it stands, everything's going to be within an index or in the actual rulebook itself. So passing by these beautiful models. Oh yeah, this was something that kind of threw me off, was the Hell Blaster Squad. Looks like they've got plasma rifles of some sort. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, that drone just looks amazing. Alright, anyways, back to the books. Those are the two books you'll be getting within the box set, of course, for Primaris and Death Guard. But this is this beast. 280 pages of fluff and rules. Okay, happy place. Gotta be in the happy place. Alright, happy place. Alright, so when it comes to competitive play, I like to basically bring as little as possible when it comes to going to a tournament. And I really dislike the idea of having to lug around an encyclopedia. So 280 pages, sure, that's great. I'm really glad that they're putting everything in a book. You've got everything at your fingertips when it comes to fluff and pictures and the actual advanced rules. That's good, but I don't need that when I go to a tournament. I don't need 280. Just give me the 80 pages of rules and keep those other 200 pages for other stuff. I don't need that. I kind of like how the previous edition handled it, where it was 3 books altogether, and I looked through it. I looked through the pictures. That was fun, and then put it on the shelf. I looked through the fluff. That was a good for one read, and then I put it on the shelf. And then if you take a look at the spines of my 3 books, the rule book, the actual rules, it's all worn and just it's tattered. Its sheets are falling out. I've used it so much, whereas the other ones are pretty much in mint condition. So that's pretty cool. With that said, though, I'm not happy with this. I'm sure they're going to probably release a smaller rule book down the lines. Maybe the one in the actual box set is similar to what they're doing with previous editions, where they had a smaller rule book, which was much more convenient. I don't know. Looking at it, it looks like a full-size hardcover book, so we'll see how that goes. Again, really kind of disappointed in this direction, but we'll see. Again, beautiful pictures, beautiful content, that's great, but I'm not 100% happy with it. So that's going to be 280 pages. So when it comes to the actual factions, so your armies, how are you going to build your armies? You're going to be using an index book of some sort, or downloadable potential PDFs that are going to be associated with each specific unit. That's going to be in the form of a data sheet. Cool. Now, the Imperium's going to have 2 books. First book is going to be pretty much Space Marines, your Space Marines, your Blood Angels, your Dark Angels, your Space Wolves, Grey Knights, Death Watch, and Legion of the Damned. That was actually pretty exciting to see that on there. I did not expect that. Your book number 2 for the Imperium is going to be Astra Militarum. You're going to have the Adeptus Mechanicus. You're going to have Imperial Knights, the the Imperial Agents, and the Talons of the Imperium. So that's cool. So each book is going to be specific to those armies, and I like how they have the Space Marines in their one book, and then they have essentially the rest of the world in the other. I'm kind of curious on how Sisters of Battle kind of work into this. It's most likely going to be in number 2 and probably under Imperial Agents, I would assume. I'm not too sure. So let me know what you guys think. I'm not 100% sure. Now, when it comes to Chaos, they have 1 book, and they've got the Heretic Astartes, they've got Chaos Demons, and some Traitors of some sort. So that's cool. So they've got that in there. 1 book, not too bad. It's kind of nice that everything's all in one spot. When it comes to the Xenos, and one thing for sure is just because there's certain armies within a certain book. So, for example, we've got Xenos Book 1, we've got Craft World, Drukhari, Ynnari, and Harlequins, as well as Necrons. It doesn't mean that these guys are all going to be working together. We're not going to, Eldar Harlequins aren't going to necessarily be working with Necrons. Craft World are not necessarily going to be working with Drukhari. Essentially, this is just a book with the rules for the various different armies that are playable for Xenos, for example. When we're taking a look at Xenos 2, we've got Orcs, Tau, Tyranids, and Gene Stealers. So that's cool. And I like how they have Gene Stealers in there. That's really nice. So when we're taking a look at what books to purchase, if you're going to be going into the realm of competitive play, you're going to have to get the rule book. You're going to have to get probably one of these index books and anything in addition to it. But for the most part, I think we should be okay with at least the rule book and potentially downloadable PDFs for data sheets if you're on a budget. If not, this really isn't really a budget game, so or at least it's not conducive to a budget. So I really think just picking up the rule book and then picking up at least the specific index for you. What I do like about what they're doing with the index books is, if I pick up the Xenos 1, for example, for my Eldar, I'm going to have Necrons. So why not take a look at Necrons and maybe expanding my armies into that? It's a really interesting kind of marketing ploy potential type thing for GW. That's really good. It's going to encourage people to potentially expand our armies and try different things. It's also going to be a really nice quick reference guide for you too when you're preparing your armies and taking a look at what you could potentially be going up against, so you're a little bit more familiar with them. So that's kind of neat. I like that. So to really get started with the new Warhammer 40k, they've given you 2 options. You either go with the Dark Imperium, which is going to be the box set, or the book itself, the rule book. So it's 280 pages. I'm going to keep saying that. That's a huge book. And then you can kind of go from there and choose the specific index that's appropriate to the armies that you play, whether it's 1 book or multiple books. So that's cool. One other thing I did want to make mention of is Forge World. Forge World are going to be also going down the same lines when it comes to an index. So we've got the Imperial Armor Index right now for Adeptus Astartes, and then we've got the Forces of Chaos that's going to be available too. So they're going to be aligning themselves. That makes a lot of sense. So that's pretty much it. That's really what I wanted to talk about when it comes to these books right now. So it looks like you're not going to be able to rely on a PDF to download to just kind of play through the game. You're going to need the core rulebook for sure, or I should say the rulebook. The core rules aren't going to cut it for match play. And definitely you're going to probably have to pick up a book, one of the index books. So I don't think that was really unexpected for anybody. So I was expecting to pick up the rulebook. I was expecting to pick up an index, but I wasn't expecting the rulebook to be as big as it was. That's really my biggest disappointment when it comes to this, because when I'm playing, I need a quick reference guide, and hopefully GW will be releasing one in the future like they did with 7th edition, but really, to be honest, I'm very disappointed with this massive brick of a book. So anyways, with that said, I really look forward to hearing what your thoughts are on this. What do you guys think about how they've bundled the units, the different armies together into these index books? I think it's really good. I think they did a good job at least dividing them appropriately. Space Marines in one book there, the rest of the Imperium in another. Same thing with Xenos 1 and 2. You've got all of your Eldar in one book with your Necrons, which kind of makes sense because they're usually really hated enemies, so it'd be kind of cool to pick up that. And if you got a friend of yours that plays Necrons, you can fight off these really cool battles between the two. So who knows what other kind of additional stuff we'll see within these books. Maybe there'll be something playing off each faction that's actually inside it, but most likely not. So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts? Do you think this is a good thing, bad thing? Are you excited? What do you guys think of the size of the rulebook? Do you guys care? I know some of you guys are super excited about fluff, and I'm really, really excited for you guys about that. But for me, not so much. Oh my gosh, are they putting Gathering Storm in there? We'll see. That would just, I'd lose it. Anyways, with that said, I look forward to your comments. Yeah, really, if you guys are interested in liking, sharing this video, please do. I appreciate it. It helps out the channel a lot, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much, folks. Bye.